Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Crafty Hour number 38. I'm just going to get loaded up here and we will get started just in a few moments. There we go. That's loaded. Let's see how we look there. Good morning, everybody. A little crooked. I'm going to straighten us out just a little bit. See if that helps. All right, good morning, and welcome to Crafty Hour number 38 with our Modern Man. Now, Modern Man was a line that came out with Crafter's Companion, and I am keeping it nice and simple today for many, many reasons, and I'll explain all of that once we get everybody loaded up. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. I have to tell you, I didn't do all my homework, so some of it I'm going to be doing with you, which is totally okay. It'll give you a little bit of time to catch up, etc. So good morning. Thanks, guys, for hopping on. We have an hour, I should say, of fun today. I did post the homework, so hopefully you saw all that. Of course, you can always do this on replay. You don't have to do it live with me. As you know, Crafty Hours can go a little bit fast because we challenge ourselves to 1 hour, 1 hour out of our day. And so if you want to watch this later, that's totally fine. Absolutely. Just a reminder, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. we will be going live with our new Crafty Hour. And that is Crafty Hour 40. Ooh, we are hitting the big 40. What are we going to do when we hit the big 50? Gosh, that's only 10 away, right? Good morning. Awesome. I am still nursing my cup of coffee. It's been a bit of a crazy morning, I tell you. So we're going to make 4 cards, and I am going to keep them nice and simple today. Now, hopefully I've got everything with me because I will admit I worked quite late last night and then realized that I didn't gather everything together. So hopefully everything was where it should be. But I decided to keep these cards simple for a couple of reasons. I was very busy doing kitting this past weekend for my new class, and it was a lot of kitting. So I kept this pretty simple and thought, you know what, we're just going to make some quick cards. I'm going to do 4 of them with you. Good morning, everyone. We will do a little easel card. I thought this was kind of fun. I am going to be giving this to my son today, but don't tell him. It is his birthday today. My gosh, I can't believe he is 31 today. That's crazy. So he's going to get this card. Yep, but we won't tell him. He'll be surprised. It's Crafty Hour number 39 in yet. I checked this morning, Sharon, and it is out for delivery for tomorrow. Now, that will probably be about 1 o'clock. That is when our guy comes. But of course, I will always keep you guys updated. Do not worry. That way you don't need to stress. You just need to watch our Facebook page. Make sure you get notifications, and that is the best place to always stay updated. So as soon as we get it in, I will post. But I tracked it this morning because sometimes it arrives a little early, and as of this morning, it was still showing that it is out for delivery tomorrow. So plenty of time. All right, I think I'm going to get started because, like I said, we are going to do 4 cards, 4 quick and easy cards, just so that we can play a little bit with the layering. Now, I did find that as I went through these, I'm going to move these off to the side for a sec. As I went through these, I actually found that it felt like there was a couple of different themes, I guess I could say. So we've got our paper, all of our papers. We've got all of these. Now these have some die cuts, okay? So this is what I mean. I've got some like gardening and some outdoorsy. I've got some planes, trains, automobiles kind of thing. And then I have, I don't know, lifestyle we'll call these. We've got some barbecue and all that. We've got some what I call cut aparts. We're going to use those. And then we've got these that are cut aparts. Now, unfortunately, unfortunately for me, I did not get the embossing folder. So we had, our shipment was shorted one embossing folder, and they were out of them. So I did not at all get the embossing folder. So I will not be using the embossing folder. I was a little bit heartbroken, but I did, we needed to give it to somebody that purchased the kit, and we sold out. So I won't be using the embossing folder today, but I do know that Courtney is going to be using it, because I already touched base with her, and I'm like, I need you to use it because I don't have it. I had to give mine up. So you don't need to worry about that today. Okay, we're going to get started. And then, like I said, I kept these nice and simple just to kind of keep my sanity this past weekend. So here we're going to start with our card number 1. Now this I did post for your homework. I asked you to find, let me pull mine in. That much I did get done. I got card 1 organized. A 5x5 card base, 4 7/8 by 4 7/8 silver foil, and then a little strip of silver foil. That is what I'm going to have you grab for now. I also had you in quite a few, I said grab any scraps that you have, because I do know I'm going to add something. I added it afterwards. I'm going to add a little strip of silver. So make sure you have your scraps handy, okay? Because we will use a little bit of those as well. It's optional, but I think it really popped. And then for our papers, I want you to find the blue dot. Now you have 2 of every one. So one is going to be for today, this morning. One will be for Courtney later. So I want you to find that blue dot. And then I want you to find the whitewash wood. Where is my whitewash wood? Ah, there it is. So those are the 2 6x6 papers I want you to find right now. Blue dot and the whitewash. I need to go grab a glue. 1 second. And then I want you to find this paper. I'm going to leave this here. I got to go get new glue. My glue is at the end of its life. Okay. Hopefully somebody played the elevator music while I ran and grabbed it. I need a new glue. Desperately. My glue is empty at home, so I didn't bring it because obviously it's empty. So we're going to start a new glue. All right. Perfect. We are ready to go. So those are the 3 papers that you should have had grabbed. I'm going to set those off to the side for now. I'm going to bring in my card. And this was the 5x5 card that I had you do for homework. And then I am just going to glue that silver right on to the base. Now this is going to be a square card. You can have that card open whichever way you want. It's totally up to you. Can be top opening, or score at the top, or score at the bottom. Side. Oh my gosh. My brain is all over the place today. Perfect. So that's just going to give us that nice little border all the way around. I'm going to bring in a paper so I can write down some measurements for you. I think, Tracy, we are sold out. I don't know about Courtney. I'm not sure if you're in Canada or if you are in the US. But I'm pretty sure they are sold out. This one went really fast. Okay, so we're going to go to our blue dot. And we are going to cut a square that's 4 3/4 by 4 3/4. Yeah, I'm almost positive, Tracy. I can check after, you can give us a call, but I'm almost positive. 4 3/4 by 4 3/4. The embossing folder was a great embossing folder. It is a brick wall, and I would just use it as a background. Like I can use it instead of this pattern, for instance. I don't even know where my other cards went. I always feel like embossing folders can be a great background. And of course, you can ink them and change the color. Super fun. Okay, so we're gonna glue this on. This is a new bottle of glue, so I don't want to open it too much or it might all come barreling out when they're brand new. Okay. Nice and simple to start with. Now, as I mentioned, this is what I would call a cut apart. We have 4 very distinct patterns on here, and I am going to use 2 of them on this one. So what I'm going to do just to start with is just cut it into 4 pieces. Then we can trim it down, but I am just going to go into 4 pieces. Oh, I forgot the silver on that. Oh my goodness gracious. We're going to need more silver, folks. Grab some more silver foil. Good thing I have extras here. I always have extras, of course. There's the ding dong doorbell. That means goodies are coming in. Okay, so I just cut them into 4, and then we will trim these down a little bit. So I am going to choose to use the one that has the water. I'm going to put the rest aside for now. We're going to use the water one. And I'm going to bring in a little bit extra silver. And I'm just going to double check. I don't think I trimmed a lot off of this. Yeah, they're about a 4 by 4. So let's have a look and see. That's 4 by just under 4. So that's perfect. We're not going to trim this down anymore. It is okay. But I am going to need a little bit of silver to mat it. And it is not a perfect square. So if you take your measurement, mine is 3 7/8. So I'm going to cut it at 4. And then it is 4. So I'll cut it at 4 1/8. Now I want you to measure yours, because sometimes when we do just random cut aparts like that, I said 4, didn't I? Yes, I did. I want you just to make sure that yours is that. 4. I'm going to cut my silver to 4 by 4 1/8. I think that works. I just like little borders. So grab a piece of your spare silver. I have not had you cut this. And we're going to go to 4 by 4 1/8. And then just double check yours and see, does it fit with a nice little silver border around it? If it does, then go ahead and glue together. Mine happened to be 4 by 4 1/8. Okay. So if that's perfect, go ahead and glue them. I like to have just a thin border, about 1/8 of an inch. I don't need too big. Come on. I am going in between putting enough glue on and not too much. Whenever it's a new bottle, it makes me nervous. All right. So we've just matted these. I love these little scenes. I think they're kind of fun to play with. Now I'm going to foam tape that to the card. I'm going to go a little bit closer to the top. I'm going to do it right about like that. So I'm going to do it even side to side. And you can see I'm a little bit closer to the top. Not a huge amount, but a little bit. So I'm going to put foam tape on the back of that. And attach that. Oh boy, nobody's getting the doorbell, so 1 second. Hey guys, that doorbell's rang 3 times and he's gonna leave. Can you shout at Stacy? Yeah. Sorry, but I don't want him to leave. If we don't get it, our drivers just take off. They just leave. They're just gone. We can't have that happen. Oh my gosh. Okay. So there we go. And I've chose to have mine as a tent card, like so. Perfect. Okay, we are now going to go to our whitewash wood paper, and we're going to trim a little piece of that. I don't know how my desk gets so messy already. How is that even possible? How is that? Now, I like to cut it so that I cut through all the panes of the wood, all the panels. So I am going to put it into the trimmer so my paper is horizontal. The lines are going side to side, and I'm going to cut 1 inch, just 1 inch. So if I put it into my trimmer with my lines going side to side, my paper is approximately 6 inches. So I am going to take it to approximately 5 inches. And I'll save that. And now I have a strip that is 1 inch. Now we're going to need to cut the length down because we already know that it's going to be way too long. So we're going to cut that to 4 3/4. 1 by 4 3/4. I'm just going to trim that 4 3/4. Just like so. 1 by 4 3/4. Now I did add a little strip of silver underneath it. I just felt it popped a little. So it doesn't have to be a long piece. It doesn't have to be a full piece. Did she grab the door? Yeah. Okay. They're not very patient. They'll just come back later. So I just have a little strip. This is totally good. And we are just going to glue it so that I just see that silver strip on the bottom. I keep all my little silver strips like this because I use them so often. Let's see, I'm going to get some double-sided tape. You can use your liquid glue if you like. I like tape for this. Just put a little strip all the way across. Sounds a little crazy out in the store today. Okay, so I just have a little strip of double-sided tape. Now you can use your tape runner, you can use liquid glue, whatever you like. I just usually use double-sided tape for this. And I'm just gonna have a little bit showing. Just a tiny bit. So that's why I didn't need a lot. That is good. And then I'm going to glue it across the bottom of my image. I'm going to come up so I can see 1 row of blue dots. So you can see that most of it is going to be actually on that water paper. I don't need extra foam tape. It's just a little piece, so we're not going to worry about that. Add some glue. Usually if it's a larger piece on either side, I'll add a little foam tape, but this one is pretty small, so I'm okay with it. And we're going to do that. Okay, that is it for the paper part. Now we're just going to go to our die cuts. So we're not cutting anymore. We'll get to the greeting in a moment and we'll trim that out. But I don't need to cut any more pattern. I'm going to go to my die cuts and I am going to use this lighthouse. I love the lighthouse. I'm going to pop that out. And then right beside the lighthouse there are 2 seagulls. So we're going to remove that. This lighthouse, in the fall, I got to go to the Maritimes and we went to Peggy's Cove. Now, Peggy's Cove doesn't have a little house there, but it kind of reminded me of that. Okay, now we're going to put some foam tape on there. So I'm going to just grab some foam tape. And just a reminder that, you know, you can always go back to these crafty hours and watch on your own at any time. They do not disappear. Mine is always on Clipper Street, and Courtney's will always be on her page, Scrapbook and Memories. So you can go back and watch at any time. So just got some random foam tape, and I'm going to put this over into the far right corner. Now I'm going to show you a little thing here. Right there. No, I didn't see a crazy man, Lori. Now you're scaring me. We were there super early. It was still kind of foggy. So you can see here that I don't really want to see that whitewash paper in that corner, so I came up a little bit just so that I don't see it. And I think before I do my seagulls, I'm going to put my seagulls here, I'm going to do the greeting first because that's going to kind of give me some space. So on one of these papers, let's look for it. We've got that birthday wishes right here. So I'm going to pull this out right here. Now, some people like to do scissors because it can be a little challenging. I noticed that nothing really lines up when you use a trimmer, but I am going to just cut about halfway. Now, when I cut it, I'm going to show you mine for a sec. I got rid of the border because I'm going to mat it on a scrap of silver. Now, if you don't want to do that, you can certainly take your scissors and trim around it, but I actually just kind of cut all the way around, and I'm just going to use my trimmer so I can get as straight as possible. If you know me, you know that I don't get to cut very straight, and I didn't bring my good scissors, so let's see what, oh, those scissors are horrible. You know, you just get scissors you like. I'm going to take off all of that blue line around there. And again, you can do scissors with this if it's easier. So I just trimmed it so it kind of looks like this. What paper am I using? I just picked a greeting. Is that what you're asking for? I picked a greeting off of this one. So whichever greeting, you can use the world's greatest. I wanted something kind of blue to go with this line. And then I'm going to mat it onto a strip of silver. Any scrap of silver you have, go ahead and mat it onto there. There we go. And again, you don't have to mat it onto the silver if you don't want to. I wanted to get rid of that border. So I wanted straight edges, and I'm just matting it onto some silver. Now I am going to foam tape it up in the top corner. So I'm going to put some foam tape on there. Oops, my glue's not dry. It kind of moved. There we go. And I'm going to put it right here. And I'm okay with it hanging off the edge a little bit. Totally fine with that. You could always trim it smaller down if you want. Now I'm going to take my seagulls and I'm going to put a little bit of foam tape. I think I'll use my foam strips for that. And I'm going to put just a little piece of foam strip behind my seagull. And then I know the space I have left to put that little strip. And we'll put that little guy there. I know we do not provide instructions for Crafty Hour because they're here and you can just craft along with us. You can go back and watch. It is just like a little Crafty Hour. Classes we always provide instructions for. Okay, and there we go. That is done. My greeting is a little bit higher and a little bit closer on this one. And quick and easy card, a great masculine card. And I love that lighthouse. So that was based on our card 1. We are now going to move to card 2 because I'm hoping to get 4 cards done. We are hoping. So for card number 2, I asked you to bring an A2 card base and 1 sheet of black. We're going to cut the black together and we're going to make this one. This one would be good for my son too because he loves hiking and that. So this one would have been, that one would have been good. Now on this one, I did it with an A2 that was a side folding, and I brought, there's my black, I brought an A2 that was a top folding. This is called a Steno A2. So I'm going to use that one. Either will work, which is why I'm going to do it both ways. So we're going to start with cutting our black mat. And again, I like thin borders, so my first cut is going to be at 4 1/8, and I will trim it down to 5 3/8. This is from our black, so I'm not using foil on this one. I'm going to use our black cardstock, and I'm going to do the 4 1/8, which is just over 4. So 4 1/8, just under 4 1/4. That's going to give me my nice little border. And then just under 5 1/2. Okay, so let's see. I hold it up. Perfect. I'm getting that little border of white all the way around. So I'm going to do that. All right. Perfect. And then I'm going to start with some pattern paper. So I'm going to use the, where did it go? Tell ya. I'm going to use some of the whitewash paper again. We just used some of this. I'm going to use some of that. And then from our 6x6, I am going to use the blue plaid. There it is, that one. And then I have a few scraps left over of the blue dot, and I'm going to use some of that as well. You should have 2 pieces of that left over. So we're going to use that. So I'm going to start with maybe the blue plaid. And you can see that this has quite some different patterns. Like depending where you go, you're going to get some different patterns. I think I'm going to kind of do this dark one. I don't think that's what I did last time, but I don't even know which one I did. They all work, but just in case you are picky about it. And this is going to be the measurement. So let me get you the center measurement here. And let's go 2 3/4 because we don't need to waste paper. So I'm going to cut a strip first that is 2 3/4, kind of where I want it. So I'm going to cut a strip 2 3/4. I don't need this piece that falls off. I just need that piece that's 2 3/4. And then I'm going to trim it to 4 inches. Again, I'll have this little piece I can keep, 2 3/4, and I am going to glue that down on the bottom. Might need to take a little bit off the side there, just a little bit. And I want to have a little bit of a black border on the bottom and the sides. I want these 3 borders to be the same. So I'm going to glue it towards the bottom. Okay, 2 3/4 by 4. This is a great way to use scraps if you happen to have scraps lying around. Okay, and now we're going to do the same thing for this piece, only we don't need quite as much. Okay, so we're going to take it maybe to 2 1/2. We don't want to waste it, so 2 1/2 by 4 will be the wood. Now for this one, I chose to have the wood going horizontal. That is totally up to you. If you want it the other way, you can. So my first cut is going to be this time with my wood going up and down, and that's going to give me that 2 1/2 inch. Put it in with my wood up and down, 2 1/2. Gives me still a good chunk. You know I love wood paper, so I don't want to waste that. And then I'm going to trim it to about 4 inches again. And this piece, I am going to put at the top. Now, don't worry if they don't touch. We're going to cover that part up in a minute. Mine are just touching. And that should give us that even border now on all 4 sides. Okay. Glue that in place. Perfect. Now I'm going to take one of my strips. This one looks like a good piece. It's the smaller one. And I'm going to trim it down to 4 inches. Okay, because all of our paper is 4 inches wide. So this was my scrap from my last card. I'm going to trim it to 4 inches. Don't stress about how wide it is. I can see some dots that are kind of half dots, so I'm going to remove those just so that I have a clean edge. Okay. And then I'm going to mat it onto a scrap of black. I want to have black on the top and I want to have black on the bottom, and I don't want any black on the short ends. So this was a piece that just got cut off. I'll show you what I mean by that in 1 sec. I'm going to trim this one up a bit. So far I have black on the bottom. I'm going to cut so I have black on the top. And I just like to use my scraps for that. So whatever, yeah, I think that's perfect. And then I want them to be the same length. So they should both be 4 inches. So I'm just gonna trim that a little bit. I got a little bit of black showing and I don't want to. And I'll keep those scraps because I am gonna use them. And so this is what our piece is gonna look like. I've got just a small amount of black on top and on the bottom, none on the ends. Now this is what we are going to use to cover the seam. So I'm going to foam tape it right there, just to cover that seam. And so I'm just going to put one strip of foam tape all the way across. I don't need a huge amount. Piece of foam tape all the way across. And we're going to cover that up. And so now it looks a little bit more finished. Okay, we don't see any seams at all. Kind of looks like we meant to do that. Okay, I'll let you get that caught up. And now we're going to trim down one of our seam papers again. I want to get you the measurement of the seam paper, and then we'll talk about that. Let's do 3 7/8. So I wanted to use this paper, but there is a lot of white space around it. So what I did is I took a little bit off each side. So it was 3 1/4 wide. And you can see here on mine, roughly how much I took off, maybe about 1/4 inch or so. So trim it up on the side so it measures 3 1/4. So I'm going to take a little bit off here. I'm going to go right to the greenery. I'm going to flip it around and I'm going to go to 3 1/4. And that, just pinch it in a little bit. Okay, now I want it to be just under 4, and that means I'm just going to take a little bit off, about 1/8 inch from the bottom. And so this now measures 3 1/4 wide and just under 4 tall. And we now need to put it onto some black, again, just to make it really pop. So I like 1/8 inch borders, so that is going to be my measurement. Just over 3 1/4. Which is going to be 3 3/8. Just over 3 1/4. That's going to give me my little border. And then 4 inches. Nice and easy. And That gives me a perfect border. So we'll go ahead and glue that together. Gosh, I hope I get through all 4 of my cards. Maybe we won't. Maybe we won't. Might have to rush through the last one and you guys will go back and watch it. Maybe I was a little ambitious with 4 cards. Now I'm going to foam tape this in the center, but I already have this. This is like a speed bump, so we're not going to put any foam tape there. I'm only going to put foam tape at the top and the bottom, and that'll just balance it out. So we do not want to put any foam tape in the center. Strip of foam tape there, and a strip of foam tape there. I don't even need glue in the middle. It ain't gonna go anywhere. Right side up, like so. And that's perfect. Now we're gonna go back to some die cuts. Let's see which, this is this one. I'm calling the lifestyle one. And I'm gonna use this hiking. It's got the backpack and some boots and all kinds of fun things. And I'm also going to, on this one where we had the lighthouse, up at the top there's this little compass. And I'm going to pull out that little compass. He's a little fussy. Got to kind of wiggle him out. So I have the compass and the hiking. And we're going to put some foam tape on the hiking. Okay, and I'm not going to completely cover the whole thing because I'm going to slide in behind the backpack a little bit of that compass. It's just going to anchor it. It's not going to be floating in the air. So I didn't cover the entire back. We're going to put this down in the bottom corner. And you'll see it's going to totally block that corner. I'm not going to see any of the corner. And then we'll just add a small piece of foam tape behind that compass. And I'm going to tuck it kind of right behind so it doesn't seem like it's floating in the air. We don't want it to be, no floaties. Okay, now the last thing is, on this one, we're going to cut out one of the greetings. I like to choose the greeting that kind of matched the color background, so I did that happy birthday. I'm going to do it real quick, but again, you can even just make a little note and go back to that if you want. Once again, I'm cutting off the border. I do not want that border on there. That's just a personal preference. So I'm taking off all of that white. I chopped this one a little bit smaller than I did that one, I think. Not too bad. Okay, so I just had it straight edges. And then somewhere in my little pile of goodies, I have some scraps. And that black just makes things pop. If ever you're unsure when you're matting and you're like, oh, I don't know what to mat it with, black and white are always good options. Matte and black, matte and white. They both will make your project pop. Okay, and then I'm just going to trim this down. That's going to be it for our black cardstock. A little bit of foam tape behind there, and then I'm going to put it up in this corner. And again, I like things to kind of hang off the edge. I never keep things in the edge. Okay, and that's card number 2. Boy, we whizzed through that one. But you can see that these are quick and easy. We've done that right from scratch, cutting every single paper. It only took about 15 minutes. Okay, so again, another good one. That would be a good one for my son too. So maybe my other son can give him this card. He's a big hiker. Big hiker, big backpacker. Okay, we're going to move on to the next one. We got to have one of the Guy Garage cards. So this is going to be our next one. This one has a little bit more work towards it, so I may need to whiz through that last one. The gold dots, I said, were optional if you had them. You don't have to use them, but I kind of like to have them. So we're going to use another A2 card base. So I have another card front. And then I had you cut measurements for these. So they should all be there. We may need to add a couple. I had you find the gold foil. And I gave you measurements already. So that was part of your homework for this one, just to help speed it along. The homework posts are always in Crafty Hour if you have struggles finding them on our Facebook page, because sometimes our Facebook page is pretty active. But if you go to Crafty Hour, you can also search it by just doing the search for Crafty Hour homework. Okay, now we're going to use a couple of papers for this one. We're going to use the wood green, which is the brown one. We're going to use this one that I refer to this one as the basketball paper. I don't know why, it just kind of reminds me of a basketball. It is like a tweed, but I kind of call it that. And then I also have a little bit of the wood grain left over, so I'm going to use a little bit of that. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut my wood paper. I can't believe what a mess I seem to make. And that is going to be nice and easy, 4 by 5 1/4. I like my wood grain to go side to side on this one. So when I do my first 4-inch cut, my wood grain is going side to side. It may not matter to you. 4 by 5 1/4. This little piece that fell off here, keep that. We're going to use it in a minute. Okay, let's glue that one on. Now I'm going to whiz through this because I do want to get a little bit of that other card done. But again, you can go back and watch this in slow-mo if you wish. Pause and repeat. I'm just going to create it like I would if I were doing it by myself. Classes, we always go nice and slow and make sure nobody falls behind. But Crafty Hours are 1 hour, and we want to give you a big bang for your buck, too. So now we are going to cut a piece of that basketball paper to 2 by 5 1/4. 2. Oopsie. 2 by 5 1/4. Little basketball paper. And I'll keep that. Okay, now I am going to attach that down the center with some foam tape. I'm not going to worry about gold on that one. I'm just going to do a couple of good strips of foam tape. I want to make sure I have enough foam tape. And we're going to come in about 1/4 of an inch from the edge of the right card. And it should go from the top to the bottom. Let's make sure I'm straight because I don't quite trust myself. There we go. Just like that. About 1/4 of an inch in. All right. Now we're going to go back to this wood paper right here, and I have a strip that we're going to trim a little bit down. I still want it to be 4 inches wide because I know that that's how wide my card is. And I'm going to make it 2 1/2. So I think I'll do the 4-inch first. I don't usually, but I think I will. So with my long piece, right now mine is 5, I'm going to cut it in half at 2, will I have enough? No, I have to cut my 4. Yeah, 4 inches. 4 inches first on the long side. You can only do 4 inches one way, and then by 2 1/2. I have used almost all my wood on that one. Now this is going to get glued like this. And because that basketball paper is foam taped, I need to add some foam tape over here on the left-hand side. So if I kind of flip it over, it will give me a good visual of where I need to add the foam tape. It's a good one. So I'm going to put one piece, it's a little long, trim that back a bit, and put one piece here. I'm going to put one piece here. See how I'm avoiding that basketball paper. And then I'm going to put glue over here. Like so. Flip it over, and I'm maybe going to come up about 1/2 inch from the bottom. I'm not measuring, I'm just eyeballing. And there we go. So we've got 3 papers there. And I'm going to take this little leftover strip that fell out, and I'm just going to glue it flat right there. Okay, when I was all finished, I'm like, I need a little bit of pop of color down there. And so I actually lifted up my greeting and put this piece in. So we're going to put it, that one just fell off. So whatever that measurement was, and I'm just going to put it right on top of there. Okay, so that's what we've got so far. All your measurements are there, so again, you can always come back to this and write your own instructions if you choose. Now I'm going to go into the cut aparts, and I am going to cut apart the classic garage. You can use your scissors if you feel more comfortable. I am going to use this, and I'm going to cut right on the line. Some of you may be like, no way am I doing it like that. I am going to do my scissors, and that's totally fine. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like. And I do believe you should have, from your homework, that 2 7/8 by 3 3/8 gold I asked you to do. That should fit. Mine fits perfect. So yours should fit. Let's go ahead and glue that on. You'll notice you're going to have a piece of gold left over after this one. And yes, that was on purpose because I decided just to skip a step to make it a little quicker. So do not worry. Oh, I love that gold against the orange. Looks really good. Okay, now we are going to foam tape it in the top left corner. Now right here where my finger is, we're going to need to have double foam tape. So this corner up here, I know I'm going to need double foam tape. So I'm just going to fold a piece in half right now. Just so I don't get confused, I'm going to add a piece right there in that top corner. And then I'm going to put single foam tape everywhere else. Okay, I can always go back and tuck a little bit more foam tape in there if I need it. But I know right here I'm going to need a little bit more. Perfect. And I'm going to put it right up in that corner so that I have room for my greetings. And I chose 2 greetings for this one. Just because. So let's find where those greetings may be. Again, we have so many sheets. They're both on this one. There is happy birthday and you're not old, you're a classic. Again, if you wish to just cut this out and have that red border, you absolutely can. I am not so good at fussy cutting, so I am just going to make mine into rectangles. That's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna cut out both of them first. Kind of get to them. Oops, I don't want to do it that way. We gotta grab the scissors. None of these lined up. I really wish that they had lined up a little bit easier. So I'm going to chop this down so that I get rid of those red borders all the way around. That is a personal preference. You don't have to. You can take the time to fussy cut it, but I am not so good at that. So there's the one. I like things quick and easy. Okay. Then I'll cut this down. How are we doing for time? Oof.
Yeah.
Oof. I'm going to trim this right down so I'm closer to the words. Like that. Get all my garbage out of the way. And then I had told you to bring some gold scraps for greetings. So that is what these pieces are. Ooh, I can probably fit that one on there. So I'm just going to find some of my little scraps and mat them both into gold. Now, if you fussy cut it out, you don't need to mat it into gold. It will give itself a border already. But because I didn't, I need to mat it. Okay, there's one. Let's see if I can get, heck no, not going to get it out of there. Get it out of another scrap. Okay, and I'll just put that one down there. And I'm using the Shining Mirror today from Hunky Dory. Thought I'd do something a little different. Okay, so I have both of my greetings done. And of course we need foam tape. Now over on this one, actually, you know what we're gonna do before we add that is we're gonna add in our car. Now I felt it was a little flat. It looks great, but it was a little flat. So this is optional if you want. I'm gonna pop out this yellow car. Cool little hot rod here. And I'm going to foam tape it over the image. Now, if you play around with it, it will cover up most of the image. So I just put one piece of foam tape and I'm gonna have it hanging off just a little bit. So it looks like that. Now, what I do see is right here, I see that little wheel, and that's where I'm going to cover that with this. Okay, if you don't want to add that 3D car on there, you don't have to, not at all. So again, I know I need double foam tape on the end, on the right hand side, single on the left. So double, single, and once you get doing this, you'll know. And then we're gonna put it, maybe I'll put it under this time. Kind of like it like that. Kind of like it like that. You know what? I'm going to move my foam tape. That's what I'm going to do. Bumping into my car. I'm going to move it there. I'm going to do it like that. Okay? And then this one's going to go down here with foam tape as well. There and there. Again, just foam tape. You don't need to cover the whole thing. And this is going to go in the middle. Everything is kind of off kilter. That's going to go in the middle. And then I mentioned if you have some gold dots, you can add those. I felt like it needed a little pop of color. So I'm going to put a set of 3 dots there and a set of 3 dots there. Just like that. Okay, and that one is done. Perfect. Now we got one more. I'm gonna go through because I do want to show it to you, so I hope that will be okay. I don't even know if I have all my paper cut for this one, but we will see. And what I did with this one is I just made a real quick little easel card. Okay, just a super quick one. I'm gonna whiz through this one because we only have about maybe 10 minutes at most for this. So again, remember, you can come back and you can watch this. For this one, I did have you find a piece of white paper that was 4 1/4 by 8 1/2, foil silver 4 1/8 by 4 1/8, another piece 4 1/8 by 4 1/8, and some scraps. So your measurements are there. I will write down measurements as we go. This, I think, is my paper, 4 1/4 by 8 1/2. We need our scoring board for this one. Again, I'm gonna whiz through this. You are going to score, not cut, at, let me grab this out. You're gonna do it at 4 1/4 is the first one. So with your score, and that should fold it in half, 4 1/4. Okay, that's gonna fold it in half. And then on one side, I'm going to do one more score, and that should be in half again. So in half again is 2 1/8. So again, you can come back and watch this, don't panic. But that gives me 2 scores in half at 4 1/4 and in half on this side at 2 1/8. And then we can fold it to create the easel card. Okay, you can make an easel card any size. We're just gonna make a little one this time. Okay, the first paper I had you cut, 4 1/8 by 4 1/8, that's gonna go inside. So I'm gonna quickly do that one, inside. Okay. And then I had you do another one, 4 1/8 by 4 1/8. And this we're going to cut into 2. So we're going to cut at 2 inches. Doesn't matter which size, because remember, right now it is a square. So I'm going to cut 2 inches, and then I'm going to cut 2 inches. That's going to give me a hair that is going to be thrown away. And these are going to glue onto the flaps. One there and one there. So I'm going to do that real quick. Okay, there's one. We'll just glue them both at the same time. There's 2. There. Guess I was ambitious with 4 cards in an hour. And there. Okay. Let's find the paper I chose. Oh, where is my paper? Too many papers. You guys got a lot of papers. So we're going to do the blue plaid, and we're going to cut pieces to fit onto our card. So we need to first cut 4 inches from our paper. Now, the reason I did this size is to show you that you can create an easel card out of a 6 by 6 paper. So if I cut this at 4, I'm going to have a 2-inch piece left over. And then I'm going to trim it to 4 again and make a square 4 by 4. And I have a 2-inch piece left over. That's very important. This one goes inside. You can do this with any of the papers that you want. You have a very wide selection. Okay. Now, Lynn, it's whichever you prefer. I generally, well, actually I bounce back and forth. I had a lot of silver foil, so I just used this one. But you can always use your, any of your silver mirrors. It's whichever, it's actually a preference thing. So you can see, I'm going to move that one up here. You can see on that pass card, I used the gold mirror, just whichever you like. Now this I need to trim down to 4 inches. I know that. That was that leftover. So now from a 6x6 paper, that's it. That's all I have left over. I love the Miri papers for the variety of colors. There's so many. When I made that card before with black cardstock, I was going to use black Miri. So I just like the variety. All right, all of my silvers are covered. So I'm going to bring in my baseball paper. I'm going to need my baseball paper in a minute, or basketball. I don't even know what sport I'm playing today. And now I'm going to cut this beer one. So I'm going to come down and I'm just going to follow that line. That. And there. I'm going to need that cheers in a minute. Trim this all the way down. Okay, so I just followed and cut all the excess off of this one. No measurement, just cut it all off. Now, I know that if this was an easel, it's going to be a little wimpy. So I'm actually going to mat it onto this baseball paper and give it that nice little border all the way around. And that's just going to give it a little bit more stability. I could mat it on silver, but I chose not to. So I'm just going to glue it and have a little border all the way around. I think I'll cut it this way first, and then I'll cut it this way. So I'm just eyeballing it. As you can see, I'm not giving it exact measurements. Now, when we go to glue it on here, we are only going to glue it on this bottom part. It's only going to attach to the bottom flap. So I only am going to glue it on the bottom, and I am going to use, oh, do you see what I just did? Oh my Lord. Not good. I'm telling you, I'm only going to glue it on the bottom, and then what do? I put glue on the top, and that's okay, because once this dries, it just wipes right off. Good gracious. And I'm going to hug it right over to the left-hand side so I can put the beer bottles over here. Whew, that's good. There we go. So it'll stand up like that. Okay. Now I need something to make my card stand up, so I'm going to take a piece of our basketball paper and make it into the stand. And I am going to cut a piece that's 1 inch, and I think this one's just a bit too short. I'm going to cut a new piece. I want it to be 1 by 4. So 1 by 4 from the basketball paper. 1 inch by 4. It's a little short, but that's okay. And foam tape on the back. Your stopper always needs to have some foam tape. So foam tape on the back. And where you place this will depend on how much of an angle. If you want it straight up, you'll place it more towards the top. If you want it a lazy one, you can take it to the bottom. I'm going to put it roughly in the middle. Straight. Straight's always good. So that it kind of stands like that. Now I'm going to put another one on top of here to help it stand up even more. And for that, I'm going to cut out this cheers, because I think that goes really nice with it. And this time I did leave the white. I did. Just going to act as another border. And I'll show you in a minute. I'm going to have to chop it with my scissors. I just cannot get in there. I'll straighten it up with my trimmer. Just gonna push that along. Oops, that's a little crooked. There we go. And one more. Like that. So that is my cheers. And I think I will mat this onto a scrap of silver, giving it a double mat. It's going to give it the white mat that's around it, and then the silver mat. Ooh, I'm a few minutes over. We're almost done. That's good. Just a little border. Okay, I've got glue all over me now. Foam tape on the back. I'm going to use a couple of my little scrappy pieces here. And I'm going to put this right in the middle. I feel like I'm crooked, so that it pops up like that when I have my cheers. Now on the die cut sheet, where's my die cut sheet? I have a few bottles of beer, a couple bottles of beer on the wall. I'm going to take out, you two do whichever you like. I'm going to take out 2. You choose your 2. And I'm also going to take out these beers. Because again, as I mentioned with the car, I don't like things to be too flat. So I'm going to pop this die cut over top and give it a little bit of dimension. So I'm just going to pop these out. I'm going to put a little bit of foam tape behind here. One here. One here. And they basically fit over top. You'll see a little bit from the back side, but it kind of acts like a shadow. And then for my bottles of beer, we're going to start with this one first. I'm going to put just some foam tape on the bottom. I'm going to put this one a little higher, like that. And then my lager, it's going to get double foam taped. And you know what I'm going to do for that? I'm going to get a little tricky. I'm going to foam tape it in skinny double. So I just folded it in half double because it's going to overlap my first bottle of beer. 99 bottles of beer on the wall. And we're going to do it like that. See how that looks? Now the last thing I put on here, and you don't have to, you could call her done if you want, but I chose to take the wishing you a happy birthday, and I just put it across the bottom and covered up the best in town. But I don't know if you have to, because you already have the greeting cheers there. So I think for this one, I'm going to choose to do it differently and just leave it as is. But if you wanted to, you could always put the little greeting across the bottom as well. You've got loads of greetings and you've got so much left over. So let's bring in all the cards that we whipped through today. 4 cards we have created. Let me grab my last one. We haven't even touched most of our product that is in our kit. So there is 4 kind of masculine cards. Doesn't have to be masculine as well. And again, yes, you can watch this on replay, slow it down. Our goal for you guys is to try and get you lots of inspiration in a short period of time. Not like classes. Classes, we take our time, but with this, we kind of plow through it to get them all finished. Now, a couple little things. Courtney will be live on her page, Scrapbook and Memories, at 5 p.m. Pacific time. She's got some cards for you. If you haven't done your homework, head over to Crafty Hour. The homework is posted there so that you are ready to create the cards with her. And then tomorrow morning at 10 tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Sorry, I was just seeing all the comments. When I'm designing, sometimes I don't look at all the comments. Awesome. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., we're going to be launching our next Crafty Hour. That is a limited supply, as always. So make sure to tune in at 9 and get your kit for our number big 40. All right, so thanks again for letting me stay a couple minutes late, and we'll see you all back here later tonight on Scrapbook and Memories Facebook page. Bye-bye.